Bhavatu Sahanao Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahe Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahe. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
The translation is, may the Lord protect both of us, that is the teacher and the student. May He nourish both of us with this knowledge that the teaching happens on both sides. May both of us make effort for capacity, that is to understand and comprehend tonight. May what is studied by us be brilliantly clear. May we not be subject to any kind of misunderstanding. Let there be freedom from three possible obstacles. That's why we say Shanti 3 times. The first Shanti is for forces that we have no control, universal forces. The second Shanti is for circumstances in our life. And the third Shanti is for personal situations. Topic so far is Ishvara Swarupam, that is the nature of Ishvara, the nature of God. We said that Ishvara has been defined as Jagat Karanam. Anyone remember what Jagat Karanam means? Yeah, Jagat, the world, not just this world, earth, but we're talking about anything physical, both manifest and unmanifest. It doesn't mean just because we see it, it is the world. It is also unseen. So the Jagat Karanam, which Ishvara is the creator of, is both the material and the intelligent cause. So we established that this entire universe that we're now experiencing, this physical matter, this sound coming out, your pen, your paper, is nothing but a manifestation of Ishvara. Shaking the head, also muscles required, all of that is material. Used to help you move, used to help you think, to move from here to there. So all of this is matter, which is apara prakriti, we also said. And this vision, when properly comprehended fully, that means vision of what? The vision of all here is Ishvara alone. This is called Vishwaroopa darshanam. Now you better remember this word because Vishwaroopa darshanam is chapter 11 of the Bhagavad Gita. So what is Vishwaroopa darshanam? Seeing God in all forms, not just one. Not just in my Ishta Devata, my personal God who I prefer, but in all gods. This is maturity. This is how we start. We see God, we see Ishvara in only our preferred Rama, in our Sita, in our Krishna, in our Buddha. But anyone else? No. That's your stuff. It doesn't work like that. So there's a maturity process. Eventually we get to see this all-pervading Ishvara everywhere, in any culture, in any religion. So this Vishwaroopa darshanam is a result of two things. First, understanding, that is being taught what Ishvara is. You cannot have Vishwaroopa darshanam unless you've been told that this is the case. If I haven't been told, I will make an assumption. And the assumption will be that God alone is in one form only. So we need to get, number one, educated. And number two, it causes maturity because your attitude changes correspondingly. If I start seeing Ishvara in all forms, then my attitude, my relationship towards all forms and people starts to change. Versus if I just see it in one temple, but another temple, I look down upon them because they're not worshipping my God. So two factors. One, understanding what Ishvara is, which leads to the maturity of the personal character, which transforms into an attitudinal change directly. So you can see this is not just about knowledge, it's also about how to change my vision and my transactions with the world. That's the result.
So does that mean that even if someone has a false idea, it's like a figment of their imagination, which is also an object, does that mean Ishvara is that too?
Yeah, I mean, every vision, every knowledge is also Ishvara in the form of, they obviously read words, and those words are ink, and ink is also from earth, and earth is 5 elements, and 5 elements is also Ishvara. And they just happen to be reading a limited piece of knowledge, which got them to have a limited experience towards...
So even if they make it up themselves in their own imagination...
But see, anything you make up yourself also comes from your prior knowledge, which also was words and ink, which came from the earth. So anything we know was borrowed at some point, at some time, none other than earth. See, everything we use, like the printer and the ink and the light and the pen, all of this was dug up by the miners at some country, and throughout the world you bought it up, you process it, and you make materials like plastic bottles and furniture that we now sit in. So everything we see around us comes from Earth, and none of us created Earth. We all borrow Earth for our own ends, for our own reasons, for our own purposes. So therefore, Earth is nothing other than the 5 elements, and the 5 elements is apara prakriti. Of course, it is para prakriti also, and therefore we are borrowing Ishwara every single second for our ends, which has made it possible for us to actually move forward. Without it, you're toast. You got nothing on you, right?
Toast is 5 elements.
Toast is also 5 elements. Okay, so this means until we study the second portion, we're now in chapter 7. 7 to 12 is the second portion of the Gita. Until we get there, our vision of Ishwara is a one person. That is, a person sitting somewhere, located at some place, and smoking a cigar, enjoying, and kind of enjoying how human beings are doing their business. So this is normal. This is a natural progress, because then later on through maturity you get to understand, as you're taught, that this is not the case. Okay, so what's happening is, up to now, Ishwara is just preparing our minds. Because by the time we get to chapter 11, called the vision of the cosmic person in the Gita, you're not going to be going, oh, I'm expecting Ishwara to arrive. No. Your understanding is like this. Ishwara has already arrived. Ishwara has never been away. Ishwara is already here right now. So this means our maturity goes from Ishwara is to arrive. This is a common or not so common experience in some religions, where we think at some point, at some time, a Messiah is going to save me. And this is fine, you understand. We're not putting this down. You just know that it is a process. And then later on you understand, I don't have to wait tomorrow. It is already, what I'm looking for is here right now. Okay, so 2 things is being asked of the student in this second section. 1, understand Ishwara. And 2, more importantly, reorient your mind to think in accordance with the understanding. It is not good enough just to hear this and say, oh, I've got it. What really counts is when we start to apply into practical application and say, how can I use what I've learned in class and take it to the real world with my colleagues, with the people I work with my family, with the common faces that I see? That's the real work. So the student requires these 2 parts. That's a really good student. A lazy student only does number 1, understands, and then walks out. And from then on, I've done my job. The good student understands, but then after that, they really ask, how do I apply this? In what ways can I, inspire others? How can I be an example of this knowledge for others to say, wow, you really have this exuberance about you. What is it that makes you so invincible to the life struggles? And then you can, say something to inspire them. So if this doesn't happen, we call this Eka Rupa Ishwaraha. That means Ishwara in one form. And Krishna is asking us to change this to Aneka Rupa Ishwaraha. Aneka means not just one, but all. So Aneka and Vishwaroopa are synonymous words. So God in all forms. In fact, the whole Gita is asking us just to change it to Aneka Vishwaroopa. Now, what's the problem with Eka darshanam? Eka Rupa? Subject to arrival and departure. When God is present, I'm happy. When He leaves, I am unhappy. So this is a constant problem for those who adopt to the Eka. And so the benefit is no more constant dependence on arrival and departure. In fact, the gopis in the Puranas is this nice story how they used to cry or be sad when Krishna went away for a while. Krishna obviously represents Ishvara. And it's a nice symbol how, they're only happy when their God is present. But when he attends to the world, because everyone needs Ishwara, right, then they're unhappy because the lack of presence. So this is what we mean by Eka Rupa Ishwaraha. This has to be converted into Vishwaroopa or Aneka darshanam. And also with Aneka or Vishwaroopa, there is no question of disappearance. That's the benefit. That means you are never not available to Ishwara. Right? Wherever you look, Ishwara is. Can't get away from it. And what does this do? Creates peace. Like, wow, I'm here. Like, I'm looking for God, but God is right here. Wherever I look around me, clouds, sun, birds, trees, sounds, smells, everything is God. That's very reassuring. So this means that journey stops to seek elsewhere. It is right here where you are right now. Because if I go elsewhere searching for God, when I get there, I'm going to ask the same question. Where is God? Right? So it never ends. So you have to accept that it's right here, right now. I'm changing the topic now. How does this universe evolve? We talked about 3 stages. Stage 1, one para prakriti and one apara prakriti. Okay, what is para? Reflected consciousness principle. Now, what's the difference between reflected and original? Reflected consciousness and original consciousness. There's no difference, but it's still consciousness. Remember, when Ishvara comes, it sets up a reflection. So now it is consciousness, but it is reflected consciousness. Is the reflection of the sunlight different from the original light of the sun? No. Because the reflection is borrowed from the original. So the essence of the reflection is the essence of the original. So one para means consciousness principle, and one apara means the inert matter principle. Stage 2, intermediary stage, we said that the one apara prakriti divides into an 8-fold apara prakriti. Now you're going to ask, what is an 8-fold apara prakriti? 5 elements. Remember, they're still in a subtle form. They're not physical. It's not physical air. Also, all the jivas, all the minds, all samskaras, all vasanas, everything is there in the unmanifest at this stage, intermediary stage. When you have a plant, that plant has the blueprint for what? The whole tree. Therefore, 8 apara prakriti equals blueprint for the entire universe. And what happens to the para prakriti? Remains one and the same, completely unchanged. Stage 3, the final 8 apara prakriti multiplies or divides into an infinite-fold universe. That is what we're experiencing now. What happens to para prakriti? Remains one and the same. Never gets touched. Ishvara does not undergo any changes when the apara transforms into 8-fold and the 8-fold transforms into infinite-fold. For example, this shirt, if I change this shirt into a curtain, have I affected the cotton? So the cotton remains exactly the same. If I change this into a ball that we can play with, we can throw around, has the cotton been affected? No. So what has changed? The nama rupa, the name and the label, has been undergoing through a modification, but what has not gone under modifications? The cotton alone. In the same way, even though nama rupa changes, Ishvara remains one and the same. That's what we mean by Ishvara does not undergo any changes despite this change that we see in the universe. So we can describe this into 2 words. Ishvara is both pervading the world and it is beyond the world. Now, pervading the world is very easy to understand. The cotton pervades the world of the shirt. But why is the cotton beyond the shirt?
The shirt never becomes cotton.
It's not dependent.
It never becomes the shirt. Yeah. So what does it mean to say the cotton is beyond the shirt? Whatever nama rupa I call this, I can make it into whatever I want. The cotton never gets touched. So the cotton has nothing to do with the world of t-shirt, with the world of curtain, with the world of handkerchief, with the world of more ideas, please. Sari. Come on, we can think of something. The name and form does not affect the essence of what makes up that name and form. Therefore, Ishvara is 2 things. It pervades the entire world of the t-shirt, and number 2, it is beyond the t-shirt. Therefore, whenever you see changing matter from now on, don't just think of it as changing matter. Oh, why are you praying to the Ganga? It's just water, it's just particles. It's not like that. Those particles is apara prakriti. Apara prakriti is the lower nature of Ishvara. You're still praying to Ishvara nonetheless.
So is the higher nature of Ishwara is Brahman?
The higher nature in this case is para prakriti. We're not using the word Brahman right now. Okay, so two natures, higher nature para, lower nature apara. So when we see changing matter, step number one, start to appreciate it from when you move out of this class tonight, or when you go out, that it is not just matter that I'm seeing anymore. It's not just food. It is actually Ishwara's lower nature as apara prakriti.
So even Karashit is
You know what?
even Karashit, stuff that you're revolted by is still there.
Exactly, especially that, because it's very easy to have a raga towards a pleasant, but a dvesha toward, and avoid everything that is not pleasant to see. So I finished with apara. Now, what is para prakriti? That because of which I get to experience or know about the experience of the eightfold apara prakriti, which has transformed into a multiple fold. Because eightfold has transformed into a multiple fold. And what is awareness? That because of which I am aware of the apara experience. Right now you're having an apara experience. This mouth, this face is apara. Of course it is also infused with para, that's why I'm alive. So every experience you have is apara prakriti. The fact that you're constantly validating that experience, moment to moment, non-stop, means that one who's validating is para prakriti. So what is para prakriti? That because of which I get to validate the experience of the apara prakriti.
I was going to say, so what you could say is, whilst you can still hold the Karashit with reverence, you still treat it according to the dharma of the relation.
A very good point. That means you're not supposed to now, go and treat everyone with love, right? It's a common question. So you say now I'm supposed to go to everyone and just hug everyone like I hug my mom? No. Remember, Krishna also, had a different relationship with both Duryodhana and Arjuna, and he's Ishvara himself, a symbol of it, at least. So therefore, even Ishvara is having a different relationship with Duryodhana and Arjuna. So don't now think that I'm supposed to go around and hug everyone. Para prakriti is the invisible, changeless awareness. Now Krishna makes an interesting statement. He says, anything other than para and apara, that belongs to your avidya. Ishwara is only para and apara. And now I'm saying anything other than para and apara, anything that's left, that belongs to your avidya. What are we talking about? We're talking about the separate I-ness, the separate ahamkara, which is still making a claim and has put everything under these two categories except itself. So the I goes, oh, interesting. So everything is para, everything is apara. So it puts the whole world in these two. It's done a good job. But the only thing it hasn't done is it hasn't put itself under one of these two categories. Therefore, the separate I still remains. Therefore, a third witnessing principle still is trying to survive. That principle has to die because that's the last stage. And only you can do that, by the way. And the Gita, of course, helps us to do this. But it's a very important point that he makes because it's easy to say, oh, okay, so para is consciousness, apara is matter. But then who's the person who's still there surviving, who's still making this claim and constantly putting everything under these categories? That person has to be looked at. That one has to also surrender to para and apara. That's the final stage. Is that clear? So anything left other than para and apara equals third principle ahamkara. Ahamkara also has to surrender itself to para and apara, because in truth it is also those two.
That's the sneakiness of the ahankara, how it tries to keep getting separation and back into the deal.
Yeah, exactly. It's very subtle, and a teacher cannot help you with this because it is so subtle and hard to pick. How is one supposed to even see that? Only you can do that through mananam and nididhyasanam. And what happens after removal? After you remove the third principle? The final understanding is there is no jagat, there is no jiva. The idea of jiva and jagat is still revealing that there is a separate I-ness. There is no jiva jagat, there is only Ishvara. So therefore, there is no sleeve, there is no shirt, there is only cotton. If I still call the sleeve, I'm making reality to the sleeve, when in fact I'm missing what it actually is, being none other than the cotton. The shirt, the nama rupa shirt, nama rupa sleeve, nama rupa whatever you want to say, is caused by none other than the cotton. Therefore, there is only cotton alone. So what happens is the world is then no longer seen as the world, it is seen as self alone, that is seen as consciousness alone. For example, take the word world, remove the L, what do you get? Word. So world, just one letter I take out, and now it just totally loses its context from world to word. So world is nothing but nama rupa. The t-shirt is nothing but name and form. I take one single word out, and the world that I gave reality to becomes a simple word. A word like projector, like the carpet, like anything else. Understand it to be none other than Ishvara. Okay, 7.6.
And when you see the Jiva in that context, that's when you change its name and form to Purusha.
Jiva is also always the Purusha, just doesn't know that. Therefore, it mistakes itself as the Jiva. And what does the Jiva do? Undergoes roles and identifies itself with roles. Purusha is the standpoint whereby I know that the roles are undergoing, but I'm always free of those roles. I can be a mom, dad, father, sister, husband, wife. However, I'm always free of all of those roles. That knowledge equals Purusha. If I identify with that equals Jiva. So Jiva means when Brahman mistakes itself for the body, mind, intellect. Yeah, that's why you're looking.
I'm a little bit puzzled, yes. I know you know, to look at the world as Ishvara in every object that we see and that we are around. Even that saying that I am seeing that every object is Ishvara, that itself is the ego, isn't it? That I'm identifying as separate from that.
Yeah, exactly. See, this is, you've just reached the limitation of words. Very good.
Yeah, so how, that is the hardest part to break.
Yeah, that's
You
what
have to identify, this is me, this is me and that's you.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at you and saying this form is Martin. And,
but the Martin is still Paranapana.
Yeah, but at the same time I'm saying it's I looking at Martin with
Yeah, okay, I understand,
Yeah, so I'm separating myself also. And that's the Hamkara, that's my ego.
Yeah, that's good. So it is, that's why I said it's an understanding. Student has two parts, understanding and practice, the understanding.
Assimilation.
I was thinking of the practice. Practicing it, I'm separating me.
It doesn't matter, that's the only way to get there, because then when you practice it enough, you realize that it's pretty obvious that there's no point of practicing, because you always still are aware. If you
We'll get there.
Huh?
We'll get there.
I like
No, I'm going to bring this back.
Okay.
I was going to say the way I like to try and bring myself back quickly is that when you are identifying with you as the body at least, imagine I am this finger. If I cut that finger off and put it over there, am I still that finger?
Yeah, okay.
The finger still is mine.
It's best. That's it. It's yours. It's not you.
No, I understand what you're saying. I understand. But it's just I'm looking at the practical part of it. Like if I was to go into this episode every day of my life, we would get there. An assurance of that I would be able to shed this bit of saying, I am looking at this, I'm looking at everybody as Ishvara.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking in so many circumstances, you're there, you're in a world, practical world, and you're looking at someone and saying, okay, it's Ishvara, you know? But that person hurts you, so why do you get hurt? What's even the word hurt?
Yeah, but the hurt is still asana, it's an understanding that the body, mind, intellect is being hurt, not I.
So you need to work on yourself all the time.
So you always need to bring it back to who's aware of this experience. The experience only happens in the BMI. That's the practice. So the answer to what you just said is, I see Martin and I look at him as Martin. How am I not supposed to see him as, Ishwara, and there's a separate I who's making
No, I can see Ishvara in him.
Yeah.
But I'm separating me from him.
But you're innocently doing it. See, you're only separating when you're verbalizing it to me. But when you're not verbalizing it, it's automatic. It comes from an understanding.
It's an understanding is there.
Yeah, the understanding is there. So the irony is you only now verbalize it when you told me, but if you didn't tell me, everything would be fine.
Yeah,
And it's like the sun shining in two buckets of water. We're the two buckets, The sun shining and the reflection in the water, the two reflections.
I understand perfectly well about the consciousness.
Yeah, I just want to bring one more point. Yeah?
So, can you hear me?
100%, yeah.
100%. Can you say that I'm not really looking at Upara because looking is an action. So looking is the means, the instrument of experience is also Upara, is Ishwara. There's just looking, the seeing is happening. I'm not really the seer. There's just an experience going on, which is all the senses are perceiving. The senses also are Ishwara. They're not mine. They don't belong to them. the ego. The ego claims to be looking, to be seeing, to be identifying, but the ego is not real.
Yeah. Okay. So that's correct. Can anyone disagree with that?
Okay.
Is that a question, or is that you just want confirmation?
Yeah, it was a question. Yeah, it was a question. Yeah. Is that correct way to see the way that I expressed it?
Yeah, I can't disagree with that, because you just said that the senses, the ego, which owns the experience of the senses, all of that is known to none other than yourself. That self is the awareness. Etadyonini bhutani sarvani tyupadharaya aham kritsnasya jagataha prabhavav pralayastata. Krishna here talks about the conversion from the intermediary stage to the final product, to the physical stage, to the final cosmos. In verse 4 and 5, we talked about the plant stage. Now, final product that we experience. What is the plant stage? What is stage 2 again, that we discussed in 4 and 5? 1 para and 8 apara. Now, at this stage, the 8 apara is going to manifest as infinite fold. So from the plant stage, the entire tree of cosmos comes. When I say tree of cosmos, I'm talking about everything that you can think and not think of. Consists of 2 principles. 1, gross elements, and 2, elementals. Now, what's the gross elements? It's called bhutam. 5 gross elements. Gross space, gross air, gross fire, gross water, gross earth. And elementals, bhautikam. What is this? Products which are created as a result of the combinations of these 5 elements coming together, creating the final product which we now experience. For example, earth plus water. Earth is an element, physical element. Water is a physical element. What happens when you mix the 2 together? Mud or clay. Now, what happens if I add some air? Remember, when I say earth, I'm not just talking about earth. I'm talking about anything concrete, anything physical, like rock, like tree, anything on the periodic table of elements. Earth plus water, and water does not just refer to water. It refers to anything liquid, okay, of the 5 elements. This is anything liquid. Now, earth plus water equals mud or clay. When I add some air, air does not just refer to air, it also refers to anything that is gaseous. What do I make? I make a nice little, I harden that mud and I create a nice product called a cup or a pot, right? Or anything that you can use as a functional product. So I mix 3 elements together and I now have a functional product. So now what is your body? It is nothing but these 5 elements. For example, your body is but earth, but it is refined earth. Of course, you don't see mud on you, do you? It is refined, pure earth. And you already know that most of it is water. How is your body earth? How did you create your body? You eat food, and the food comes from where? The earth. So you're nothing but the earth, but refined. So far you are earth in the form of plants. And if you happen to be eating animals, then okay, that's fine also. But the animals also grew out of plants because they also eat plants, and the plants eat earth. Now, what about fire? Do you see any fire in you? Is someone's head burning? Not actual fire. Fire in the heat principle. For example, you go to a cold place right now, your body still preserves heat. In other words, the heat principle of fire remains. What about air? Where is that? Throughout your blood vessels, air everywhere in form of oxygen. What about space? Where is that? You got some in your stomach. Okay? So all 5 elements your body has. Let's do another example. Hydrogen, which is air, plus fire equals dihydrogen oxide. What's that? Water. The di or d? Okay, dihydrogen oxide. This is periodic table of elements. All of that is hydrogen right now, okay, inside. Now, when it contacts the fire, you see the water? Now, what does it say? 75% of the visible universe is hydrogen, a colorless gas, i.e. air, and when it mixes with the flame, i.e. fire, then it generates the dihydrogen oxide that is water. So that's another example. When two elements combine, they create what? A wonderful product that we can use. Now let's ask this question. How do you convert stage 2 to stage 3? When you have gas, for example, what is gas? Subtle form. So subtle form, gas can be now equated to stage 2 because it is subtle. And then you have process called condensation, which means when the gas undergoes a temperature decrease, you have liquid is the gross form. So I'm going to equate this. Gas, stage 2. Condensation, thought. Liquid, gross stage. That means stage 3. How do you put condensation in 8 apara prakriti? Let's bring this back. The gas is the element, is it not? The liquid is also an element. Now we know the 8 apara prakriti has 5 elements, so that's easy to understand. How would you now put condensation into 8 apara prakriti? What is condensation? Idea, thought. Is it not true that if you think you're cold, your body experiences cold? So just by, and what is thought? Subtle. So a subtle thought produces a physical reaction. For example, experiment. Right now, imagine cutting a lemon. Okay, you cut a nice little piece. And you hold the lemon in front of you. Just imagine that. And now you bite into it. Okay? What is your experience? Saliva. So in other words, I just used a very subtle thought, stage 2, and through that thought, I was able to create a physical expression that is stage 3. That's just an example. And remember, 8 apara prakriti is not only the 5 elements, but also total mind, total intellect, and the total doer, sense of doership.
Does the Gita address like the idea of vibrational energy or vibrational frequency being like a basis of the universe? Or is that what you're talking about when you're talking about the thought? Like when they talk about that in quantum physics or other New Age teachings about everything being vibrational at the base level?
I'll have to see what they actually mean by vibration.
Yeah.
I will be wrong if I answer because I don't know exactly what do they mean. Does anyone know?
Thought is energy. It's an energy that comes vibrational thing.
Like a sound wave moving through the air.
It's an energy.
Is a vibration. What we're talking about here is that our senses has evolved from the 5 elements. We have the 5 senses to detect the 5 elements.
Yeah.
But we only have a certain frequency width band that we can actually operate with those organs.
Yeah.
You're probably referring to when you go beyond that frequency into higher and lower frequencies which are not detectable by the organs as we have manifested them in this body. So yes, they exist, but we don't necessarily detect them.
I mean, everything's moving. Vibration certainly sounds like movement to me.
Is it similar to aura? What are you saying that vibration?
I'm not too sure. I've just heard that it's string theory and quantum physics and
it's all Apara-prakriti, by the way.
Yeah.
Quantum physics cannot see Para-prakriti because it is beyond instruments of knowledge that we can use. So they're always referring to Apara-prakriti. That simplifies the model. What is Apara? Matter only. Yes, ma'am?
No, I was just thinking, this example you gave of the water.
Yeah.
I mean, nature itself produces water. It's not always nature's thinking. Like when you use the word thought, it seems to pertain to the human world or living things.
Yeah.
The thought. But water is created by nature as well. So that's where I felt,
Okay, good. Madhu, don't look at the example as the absolute.
All right.
See, as soon as you start looking at the example and comparing it to what I'm experiencing now, the example fails.
Yeah.
So you need to see, every example is limited in itself.
Yeah.
So I just try to provide a sample, how it, just to contemplate on it.
Okay. But even if it's nature, it's Brahman's creation. That's the thought. From Brahman.
Yeah, for example, in the Gita we'll soon read, I thought the universe. I created the universe by my thought. Of course by my maya, but it is a thought nevertheless. Etadionini bhutani sarvani. All things and beings, from the smallest micro organism to the most evolved human being has its cause in me. Me means Ishvara. This is Krishna speaking. Me means para and apara. Me means both nirguna and saguna. So this means that Ishvara has evolved into the creation that we experience right now without undergoing changes. We already established that. And what's Krishna doing here? Redefining our concept of God. He's saying God is not the powerful person sitting somewhere beyond the clouds who just keeps creating and dumping. I create a person and I dump the person. I create a situation, I dump the situation. You have to get rid of this idea. However, it is still valid. Why? Because a person is unable at the beginning stage with an impure mind to appreciate the true nature of Ishvara. How does a person relate to God? As a person. Why? Because you deal with people. So all I can do is deal with God as a person. Therefore, it's 100% valid. That's why in the Shastra, we have 3 ways of teaching what Ishvara is. The first one is Ishvara equals person. Why? Because we're most commonly familiar with people. We can only relate to them. Second, Ishvara equals the entire universe that we experience. That means wherever you look, Ishvara is, both para and apara. And the third one, Ishvara, the final one, is Nirguna Chaitanyam, which is none other than Brahman. That's the final understanding. So what is Nirguna Chaitanyam? Propertyless consciousness. No properties. Abstract truth. You see how hard that is to actually think? How do I think of abstract truth? That is why the scriptures never present number 3 at the start. They always present or convey Ishvara as a person and then they move forward. So the summary is learn to look at or everything that you see as none other than Ishvara manifestation. That is your new job description. So from now on, I'm looking at Ishvara's manifestation. I really mean it because it is easy to say this in class, but as soon as colleagues come up who we have an association and conflicts with, it is very hard to do that. That is your best opportunity to practice. How do you practice? I say, start very easy. This person that I have a conflict with is both para and apara. That's going to give you enough space to start your inquiry. And then you say, well, how are they apara? Okay, there are 5 elements, but this one is also 5 elements. They have para, consciousness principle. This person also has para, consciousness principle. So that should be enough to start your inquiry.
And that does go synonymously with understanding, helping you to understand Dharma.
Yeah.
Because everything is Dharmic to the relationship.
Good. So therefore, sarvani iti upadharaya. Assert or digest that the whole universe evolves out of me and rests in me. Now, considering I just said the universe, the whole universe rests in me, the question is, what is the fate of the universe? The scientists will tell you, well, that's very easy. You have a big bang, and then you have a big crunch. And then when there's a big crunch, then the big bang comes up again. Now, what does Shastra say? The big crunch is guaranteed. The Jagat will dissolve whether you like it or not. It is endless cycle of dissolution and creation. So this means creation, srishti, preservation, sthiti, and dissolution, pralayam, are eternal. And what happens at the dissolution stage, the pralaya stage? It goes back to stage 1, equals 1 para and 1 apara prakriti. That's the dissolution stage. And then again, stage 2, 1 para, 8 apara. And then stage 3, 1 para, multifold apara. And then back again into pralayam, 1 para and 1 apara. And it's constant cycle like that. Also in chapter 2, verse 28, Krishna said, for everything goes back into the unmanifest. And then from the unmanifest comes the manifest. Constant cycle. We can do a sample of a mini creation right now, which we're all familiar with, to bring this a little bit back down to personal experience. The moment you wake up in the morning, okay, which you just did today, what happens to all your thoughts and actions? They instantly manifest. All your dormant thoughts and actions, the moment you wake up in the morning, instantly you continue where you left off yesterday. It's not like you find yourself into a different person, do you? No. So that means if there was a conflict with some person just before sleep or yesterday, if I think that sleep is going to resolve it, in your experience, that's not the case, is it? It continues as soon as I wake up. So therefore, the Purusha, the person, continues their creation from yesterday. In the same way, on the macrocosmic, the Srishti continues its dissolution from the last creation. It is exactly the same microcosmic, macrocosmic replica. So what have we established? We wake up, all actions and thoughts immediately manifest. Now, what happens when you go to sleep? All actions and thoughts withdraw into whom? You, none other than yourself. So, but are they withdrawn permanently? No, why not? Because there's a waking up. So this means everything was in potential. My life was in potential, my creation, my knowledge, my intellect, my feelings, everything about me, the microcosmic, was in potential. And then when I wake up, whatever that was in potential, it comes out. But what is Ishvara? The total. Therefore, creation is then the new morning, the new creation. Everything continues back as it was in the last creation, just like you have on the mini microcosmic level.
It dissolves back into the causal body.
Yes. What happens when you wake up? All thoughts and actions express themselves. How are you going to express them if you don't have a field to express them in? So who supplies the field? You know the scene in the Matrix where the Neo is like in a white room? Imagine being given a white room and you're like, there's your world. Now go express your actions. Impossible. So in other words, I need to be supplied a field to exercise my karma, to exercise my field, my thoughts, my actions. And this field that we call Jagat is that field for whom? None other than the Jiva. Therefore, why is this world created? Why does this world exist? In order for the Jiva to exercise their thoughts and their actions from where? From the last creation that they've had from yesterday. And this cycle is eternal. Now, question. How do you get out of this cycle? Because I just said it's eternal. Suppose you're on a merry-go-round. Fun, right? So you see this merry-go-round, you just want to like jump on, right? I just want to join. Now we're all on a merry-go-round. That's called being here, being born, merry-go-round. So there's no off button because you can't turn it off. Because if you turn it off, others don't want it to be off, right? So there's going to be a conflict there. So the off is not an option. How is there's only one single way to get out of the merry-go-round, which is?
Get bored. Get bored.
Or switch off. Jump out.
Jump off. Is jumping off, is that pleasant?
No.
No, because number one, it's spinning very fast, and you know it's going to be painful if I jump off. And number two, you always sit next to those whom you love, right? Who are important to you. So now suddenly you go, yeah, I kind of like need to jump off. It's like, no, come back, right? So it's very, very hard to jump out of samsara, but it has to be done. Therefore, the only way out of this cycle of endless srishti and pralayam is moksha. That is the only reason why we have this class, to get out of this constant cycle of birth and death.
So moksha then is the end of the experience of time.
While you're alive, of course, time is still going to be made aware, but the time ends when, and the space and all of that ends when the body dies. For the person, not for the jnani. The jnani is already, transcended that. Because they know whatever is made aware to me is not me. Therefore, it doesn't matter to the jnani.
Mm-hmm. So experience of time is equivalent to suffering?
No, experience of time is just generated for the sake of, because every thought has a gap in between. So for example, now that gap in between makes up time that we experience now. Okay, so all time is just of course it's created as a result of
space.
The world, that we have different changes, but we only measure time as a result of this, for example, being here, and now watch what happens. From here to here. But all you saw was what? The image on the screen of consciousness has changed from here to there, and because it's moved, it gave me an impression that there is time. understand?
Could you say that time is just a human construct to measure space or to conceive space?
It is a human construct because time is relative. In your dream, there's a totally different time factor involved. In fact, I'll get to that in the dream now.
But time is the experience. The experiencer is only in time.
Yeah, experience and time are synonymous. Yeah, there is no experience without time because the experience is only possible by the constant changes, and the changes are none other than time, and time implies experience.
So moksha is the end of experience.
Yeah, but you're always free of experience. There is no ending because to say that I'm suddenly ended, that means now I've limited Brahman. That Brahman was always contaminated by experience. So moksha is just realizing that I was never bound by time nor space. So nothing really changes, because if I say something changes, that means now I'm putting attributes onto Brahman. So we go on the merry-go-round, we get sick, and then eventually we want to jump off. It's always the same story. That's why as little children, we love to sort of be in this merry-go-round. But as you grow older, age helps a lot actually, then you just sort of get sick of it. But you don't have to get old to understand that this world is just as it is. There's nothing valuable in this world worthy of pursuit. So either way, Ishvara is going to take care of you, whether you're aging or whether you do this through self-inquiry. Second line, Aham kritsnasya jagataha prabhavav pralayastata. I am the origin of the entire universe. I am the resolution ground and the graveyard of this creation. I throw out and I resolve. I throw out creation and I resolve. For example, to bring it into a context that you can relate to, we do this actually with our own minds. Projection. We create a projected dream universe. If you remember your dreams, you're very lucky. Because you know how intricate and complex the world of dreams, how real it is. So out of your mind, spontaneously out of the mind emerges a vast, beautiful dream world. It's very real, right? It's very characters like, wow, I know my people. And you do all of these various things in the dream. So all of the lokas and all the creations gets created out of none other than your own mind. You project a created world. And in this world, not only is the world of 5 elements, but also intelligent characters with emotions, with stories, with different connections. Your mind also creates time and space in the dream. Now, in the dream, time and space is totally different than here in the waking state. In fact, the scientists will measure REM, rapid eye movement. 1.5 minutes to 1 minute is your dream. That's how long your dreams are. But what do you experience in your dreams? You go to school, you get married, you have children, and you have grandchildren. All of that in 1.5 minutes. In 1 minute, I experienced the whole life. In the same way, we're going now, man, this life is long, right? But on the macrocosmic, this life is nothing. It's just gone like that. But in the dream, the time is completely real. It is authentic, it is valid. But it is projected out of whose mind? None other than your own mind. So your mind created time, space, and all of the objects within it. And what happens when you wake up? The entire dream world, you swallow it. Complexity, beauty, a story worth writing books about, being a #1 bestseller. In one moment, I wake up, I swallow up the entire world. Everything that mattered to me, everything that I thought was worthy of pursuit, or that I should attend, or that I was fighting for, that I was standing for, all of that swallowed in instantly. Can't even say how quickly. So in the same way...
So what survived?
Hold on. So that means you, the person, you can say now, I am the srishti, that is the creation. I am the sthiti, I am the preservator of my dream. And I am the laya, the dissolution, karanam, cause of my entire dream. I am. So what survives? The I am. The one out of whom the world was created, preserved, and destroyed. That I am was the karana sharira for sthiti, srishti, and pralaya. Similarly, Ishwara is exactly the same. It is the srishti, sthiti, and pralaya of the entire cosmos. Yeah?
Isn't there something more? Isn't there thoughts or memories? that also survive?
When? Are we talking about?
Survive from a dream. When you say you leave the dream,
Yeah.
it's all resolved back. Is it all resolved back, or is it some left over that can come to
It's
this world?
withdrawn. I swallowed it.
So is it dissolved back into the
But
causal?
obviously we
causal
like
body?
to talk about our dreams, so like we describe them. So
Yeah.
in order for them to be described, we need to be able to rely on memory.
Could you say that the dream occurs in the subtle body,
Yeah.
and then when you swallow that dream, it gets dissolved back into the causal body?
Into potential. On the macrocosmic, it's the potential.
And it's
That
leaving,
potential
it's
is called
leaving
Maya.
imprints. It's leaving imprints behind in the memory.
Yeah, now don't compare this example of the dream to the macrocosmic, because now you're saying, okay, so the memory survives, so that means Brahman is now busy, remembering all his past creations. On the macrocosmic, you swallow the dream. What remains?
Okay.
The dream itself, but the dream is known to you still, so that you are other than the dream.
Yeah.
So the dream did survive, but you also survived, did you not? Remember what I said last session? Everything in existence already is. There is no, it went out of existence. So this means what? Every creation is just a combination of different possibilities, but all of the materials already exist. The para and apara is already there. So this dream goes back into you. So what survived? You did, but also the dream did. Both para and apara. What is Ishwara? Both. And then again, you go to sleep, para apara, boom, world. And then you swallow it. So nothing ever gets destroyed nor created, only changed in different combinations. The apara gets changed. What survives? Both. So let's read this. Understand that all beings and elements have their cause in this twofold prakriti, para and apara. Therefore, Ishwara is the one form whom this entire world comes, resolves back into. Mattaf parataram nanyat kinchidasti dananjaya mayis sarvam idam protam sutre manigana iva. Usually we observe one law. Every cause has its own cause. That's the law that we observe. So everything that you see, you will say now that what I see is caused by something else. For example, you are either a son or a daughter to your parents. Therefore, your parents caused you, the person. That's the general law. So everything I see, this came from oil. So this has cause. Clouds, came from the evaporation. So their cause is from the ocean. Everything I see it has a cause. That's the general law that we experience. So in reference to the parents, I'm an effect. However, parents also have their cause. So in reference to my grandparents, my parents are now an effect. Without my grandparents, my parents are the cause. So this is going to provoke a question. If this is a general law, then what caused God? What caused Ishwara? And Krishna says, I am the parentless parent. I am the causeless cause. Nothing caused me. In other words, I am never the effect of anyone or anything. And this is why para and apara is never destroyed. And why it's eternal. And why it cannot be destroyed. Because it doesn't have a previous cause. So nothing touches para and apara. It cannot be effect. Because what do we say para is? Ishwara. And Ishwara has no cause. Because of this alone, para and apara is beginningless, eternal. Nothing caused para and apara. They already are. They exist. They're never more or less. Therefore, mattaha parataram nanyate kinchid asti. There is no other cause for me. I am the ultimate cause. I am the absolute cause of this creation. Now, to explain the second line, I'm going to apply some simple logic here. So we said so far that Ishwara is the material cause. What do I mean by this? Whatever you see, touch, smell, feel, perceive, material. So therefore, this material is Ishwara, because Ishwara is the material cause. So this means that material cause is inherent in every single effect, every single product that you see. Right now you're wearing clothes. That's a product. It has a function. And that material cause is making your shirt that you find so comfortable right now possible. So now let's put an example to this. Where do you get your pot from? How do you create a pot? From the clay. So the clay is the material cause for the pot, which means the clay inheres the entire product called pot. So that means, what do you see? The world is nothing but a product. So this means that which inheres the world, which is the material cause, being Ishvara. So that means you're constantly experiencing the product, which is the material cause, which is caused by Ishvara. So this means clay inheres ugly pots, beautiful pots, rich pots, and poor pots. Why did I put these words there? So that you can see that if I see a beautiful pot, a very nice pot, if I see a not so nice, whatever that, ugly and beautiful means, they're both inhered by the one same material cause. You see how this changes your attitude? Before I saw rich as higher than poor, or poor something different than the rich. Now I see both are the same material cause. Therefore I cannot judge one higher or one lower, because my vision is going through the understanding rather than through the perception. Or another example, ornaments. You have many ornaments, necklace, bangles, earrings, and so on. All of them are pervaded by the gold. And the gold is the material cause of the ornaments. Therefore, if I look at the ornaments by themselves, I will attribute different values. I will say, I don't need that. That is invaluable. I need that. But both the invaluable and the valuable are both pervaded by the one same material cause, being Ishvara. Therefore, my attitude again now changes, because I am only dealing with the apara prakriti aspect of creation.
So how would you see then if you're comparing two pots? A crude pot which you're considering ugly, or a refined, beautiful pot that you're considering beautiful? Are you not judging the potter as opposed to the clay? I mean, the skill of the person and the energy producing the actual name and form from the actual essence.
Earthly level, sure, you can do that, but I'm talking about the macrocosmic level. So there's a big, ugly pot, beautiful pot, but both of them have characteristics. And what is ugly and what is beautiful is only my own subjective perception based on my vasanas. Because to someone else, ugly is beautiful, and beautiful is ugly. So therefore, even the beautiful and ugly is also subjective, right? So to bring this beautiful and ugly now brings another layer of subjectivity into it. Okay, remove, for example, the wood. Use this example on Sunday, right? Remove the wood from this, from these chairs, from this furniture, and there is no furniture. There's not.
You'll be on the floor.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you'll be on the floor too, right? So that means the furniture depends on the material cause, and who enjoys the furniture? We do. That's all Jivas do. They just enjoy the world. And what is the world? None other than the material cause. So what do we do? We are borrowing Ishvara in order for us to enjoy. So you can see how this changes your attitude. I'm only depending on Ishvara for everything that matters to me in my life, my kids, my grandchildren, money, all of that is material cause of none other than Ishvara. Therefore, reverence now towards Ishvara increases. So Krishna now says, I am the inherent cause because of which this entire world is held together. See, the wood holds together the chairs. Without the wood, there is no chair. Without the gold, there is no ornaments. So the material cause holds everything together. And he gives an example of mala, that's a long A, and he says the mala has an inherent thread going through it. And it is keeping all of the beads together. So the invisible thread that we cannot see is making me use this as a functional product for whatever it happens to be. Functional product, anything in the world that I mean. So when I look at this mala, I see the outside, certainly. I see the visible aspect of it. So I see the beads. The beads are visible. But what is invisible? The thread. But how do I now see the thread if it's invisible? I have to make a conclusion. I have to make an inference. This can only be held together by something that is holding it together. I cannot see the thread, but I can make a conclusion. The fact that it's being held together, there has to be an invisible principle holding this thread together. Because of this thread, mala is. Without the thread, I can't even call this a nama-rupa, because what is there to say when there's nothing holding it? Very important lesson. How do you see Ishwara? What did I just say? Because of the invisible thread, which I cannot see, I say mala. In other words, I just said mala is, heater is, person is, carpet is. What is that isness? Why did I say mala is? Because of the invisible thread. In other words, how do I see Ishwara? By the isness aspect of an object. If an object is, therefore it is held together by the invisible principle, none other than Ishwara. So how do I see Ishwara? Tell me what is not. You can't even say that. Because everything is, everything exists. Therefore, sutre manigana iva, just as beads are threaded together by a string, similarly the entire universe, that means all the laws, all the matter, whatever we see is held together or threaded together by the invisible thread called Ishwara.
I just had a different image of that, which actually brought it clearer to me, was if those were little beads of metal which were magnetic and there was no actual thread, then that energy of magnetism, which is invisible, would be also Ishwara.
Yeah, good. You see, even better, right? The magnetic, invisible magnetic energy. Good.
You're a Zen master.
Every breath we take, every heartbeat that beats us is Ishwara.
Yeah.
The moment you stop, we go.
Totally dependent on Ishwara. Yeah. And it's also really funny that we always get attributes and value to the outside, don't we? Oh, beautiful necklace. Oh, it's so valuable. So all the credit goes to the mala, to the product. But what doesn't get the credit? That which is most important. That because of which this product is. That because of which I get to say, oh, beautiful mala. Because of that, I get to enjoy this mala, but I don't appreciate that. I appreciate what that is holding together, which is the final product. That's the irony of life. We always miss the most important and we see the surface. So now, if someone asks you, question, where is God? How do you answer?
Everywhere.
Here and there, and everywhere.
Good. Okay, more examples? Because we're dealing with a tough student now. Where is God? To a normal person. Not a Vedanta, a normal person. How would you respond?
Who's asking the question?
Don't be a smart ass, that's what they will reply, right? You can simply say, you can pose a counter question. So they said, where is God? So what does the Vedanta say?
Where is not?
Where is he not? Right? So in other words, you're not answering their question, but you're answering their question in a subtle way. Actually, we'll read 7.7. Blue one, oh Arjuna, there is no other cause at all apart from me, Ishwara. All this is strung in me like beads in a string. We have now understood that. Rasoham apsu kaunteya prabhasmi shashi suryayoho pranavah sarva vedeshu shabdah ke paurusham narshu. He's making a request for an attitude change based on the new understanding that we're now gaining about the all-pervading nature of Ishwara. So for example, we all love parents, hopefully, and we have reverential feelings towards our parents. Why?
Because they gave us birth.
Because they brought us into
Produced
this
us.
world and
They're the cause of...
Good. So we love our parents because we understand all of the sacrifices that they put behind in their hard work to make us where we are now. We have knowledge of what they have done, and that knowledge causes me to experience reverential feelings towards them. So because of the knowledge alone about their sacrifices, their good efforts, their love, their times when nothing was working, because of my knowledge of that alone causes me to say, I love my parents. What happens if you don't have knowledge of a person? You're neutral towards them. You meet the person for the first time. No raga dvesha at all, because you don't know anything about them. They're on a neutral scale. So if I meet you for the first time, raga dvesha equals neutral. As I get to know, have knowledge about you, what happens then? The raga dvesha proportions start to modify, right? So this means if I don't know anything about a person, whoever it is, an object, there is no chance for me to have any reverential feelings towards them. And what I say about parents, only when I get to have knowledge about it, to find out what they put and the hard work they put into it, only then my emotional factor, my reverence towards that object starts to increase. Then I start to respect it, I start to admire it, I start to worship it. So what does this mean for Ishvara? Only when I understand as Rani was saying, everything is Ishvara. I cannot function here without Ishvara. All the things that matter to me, that I love, that I adore, that is worth living for, all of that is only because of Ishvara. All of the times when people were not there for you, who was the only person there for you? Ishvara alone. How? Because you were breathing air. What is air? 5 elements. 5 elements, apara prakriti. Therefore, I can't do anything without air, without earth, without food. All that is the 5 elements. That means I totally depend on Ishvara to love, to even say I love you, to even say I want this, to even say I don't want that. So, what does this mean?
You won't be neutral anymore. You'll see that person as Ishvara.
That's right.
You've got to be careful here, because that's when you're actually judging a person by the first instance. Your vasanas can very quickly hijack. Because it's still Ishvara. The type of shoes they're wearing, the haircut they've got, the brand of jeans or the colour of the shirt. You know nothing about the person, but you project it onto them. You already, your vasana.
This is why we're only saying this in chapter 7. That would be valid if this was in chapter 2, right? When chapter 3, where we're beginning the Gita. But by chapter 6, we've already done enough work on the Jiva that you're not making that mistake anymore. So now it is fair to say this. See, because we need to go with the program. And also even when you discover, for example, biographies of a person, right? You don't know them, you never met them. Because of their biography alone, you get to see the songs and the praises and the devotional prayers written about them. And you read this and you go, wow, this person is amazing. And the more you read about them, the more you get to know them, the more you start to develop appreciation and closeness, connection with this person that you're reading. In the same way, the more I get to know about Ishvara, the more I get to revere and honor and respect and bring and keep it in my life 24/7. It's not that hard to understand, because partners who love each other, they're constantly thinking of each other, right? Most of the time. Okay.
Not saying like that, just laughing.
Okay, but in the background, it's silent. Okay, it's not in words, but it's always in the background. So it's not that hard to understand. So because why are you with them? Because you love them. So in the same way, this applies to Ishvara also. If we understand, contemplate enough, it is always in the background. You don't have to think about having reverential feelings. It is just present because of your hard work to understand the glories of Ishvara. Formula. Proportion to the knowledge that I have about an object is the direct proportion to the reverential feelings that I have about that object. Now, question, how do you apply this in real life? Knowledge can be gathered easily, but to digest the knowledge, to have an attitude change, that takes time. For example, to eat is very quick. Munchy, munchy. What takes time? What's the most important thing after you eat? Okay, digestion. Digestion takes time and it is the most important. In the same way, knowledge is easy. You can just read and listen, done. But what takes time, the most important, is to change your attitude according to what you have heard. So this means the student has a twofold job. to make this happen, to apply this in real life. The first one is to understand Ishvara. Why understand? Because I just use the example of biography. The more knowledge I have, the more I revere. And most importantly, that means understand means gaining knowledge. Ishvara Dhyanam. And the second, deliberately apply action that corresponds to the knowledge which I have learned. That means making my daily actions aligned with the knowledge which I have learned. Deliberate. That means you're using your free will. You're using your decision making. For example, in a job, right? Suppose you have a conflict or some tight situation. Then before it was, this person annoys me. After, okay, I'm not going to deny, they do annoy me, but then look at the other aspect of them. How? I just discussed apara and para prakriti. So you start to see them more than just someone who annoys me. You see another level to them. So this you have to do personally, intentionally, deliberately. Yeah, exercise. Just forcefully, because the world doesn't allow us to do this. We just have to deal. So we have to go, okay, what can I see in them that I have in common? There's a beautiful exercise, compassion exercise. Just like me, this person is doing all their best to find happiness. Just like me, this person is doing all they can to be peaceful. Just like me, this person is doing all they can to have harmony. So just by saying this, you understand, I may have annoyance towards this person, but at the end of the day, just like me, they're also just trying to be happy in their way. See how he brings compassion?
Can you turn it back to yourself and say, what is annoying to me? What is it? Is it part of me that doesn't accept certain things?
Yeah.
But that's what I was meaning.
More analysing yourself than actually projecting it on the other person?
Yeah.
And that's what I was saying before, without you accusing me of being so chapter 3, you're cutting through the vasanas directly to the actual, it is what it is. You're not projecting your vasanas, which is preventing you, blocking you from being able to do that.
One more point to add on to that. See, if I start to look at this thing in me, then I'm giving it reality. So it can be a counterintuitive action sometimes. I need to understand, okay, let's just do this for the benefit of this person. But don't get involved in this action, because then you make this problem mine. You start to identify with this problem. But moksha is about disidentifying from problems, remember? Because problems never end. So I can endlessly inquire about problems in me. Endlessly. It's never going to end. So there's a certain stage you need to come after. Acknowledge problems are going to arise whether I like them or not. Feelings, that is, the emotional thoughts, the disturbances. But then you need to ask, because of whom are these emotions present? In whose presence are these emotions validated by? In my presence. Always go back to yourself.
But I'm looking at it differently. I'm looking at this is an effect, the annoyance is an effect.
Yeah.
So the cause has to be somewhere.
Yeah.
So if I know the cause, I can resolve the cause. So then the effect won't happen again. That's how I'm seeing it.
True.
Yeah. I just feel that some people can say harmful things because they need something.
Yeah, so the cause and effect is that person.
So it's better. So and the issues with them. So I find it's better to send them. No, just send them, like we say, give them your blessings.
Yeah.
When they say something to hurt you, just give them your blessings and wish them peace.
Yeah.
Because it's stemming, that behavior stems from unhappiness, something unhappy in them.
Yeah.
So just wish them well, and don't take it on yourself.
No, definitely not.
You don't accept that.
Remember Lloyd? I did tell you an incident.
Yeah. That's actually how I do it, but very good.
Yes.
Incident.
So let's make a conclusion. To see the world as just the world equals samsara. To see the world as Ishwara equals no samsara. So for this person, samsara is true. For this person, samsara is not true. Why? All they had to do is just change their perspective. It's not hard work if you think about it. So how do you step out of this samsara? Change view. Nothing here is to damage me. Nothing is hurtful. Everything is Ishwara alone. Therefore, there is no entanglements anymore. Okay, all you're doing is you're doing an attitude, a shift of your perspective from world to Ishvara. The first verse in the Isha Upanishad will say, Isha Vasyam Idagum Sarvam. I learned to see this world as Ishwara Swarupam. How do you learn? Practice. How do you practice? Deliberately doing. Where? Wherever you find yourself most common. Your family, your work. Now, how does Krishna tell us to change this attitude? First line, Raso hamapsu kaunteya prabhasmi shashi surya yoho. So, he says to Arjuna, when you drink water, does anyone drink water here? So this applies to you, right? Don't just look at it as drinking water. Understand that the essence of water, which is keeping your body, mind, intellect alive, that essence, I am. So this means, like Rani is not drinking water, she's drinking the essence of the self, the essence of Ishwara. She just drank Ishwara. Yeah. You see, the most common thing that we do, we can find reverence in. Without a sip of water, I am dead. If I die, then how can one progress into artha, kama, dharma, moksha? No way. Krishna also says, I am the light, I am the radiance, I am the brilliance in sun and the moon. So the light in the sun is worshipped in the Gayatri mantra. You've heard Bhur-bhuva svaha tat savitur varenyam. And why is it worshipped? Because the sun represents or is a symbol of consciousness, the conscious principle which it gives this inert brain the ability to think, gives these senses the ability to sense the world. So don't look at the sun as just matter, look at it as also Ishwara. Now, pranavaha sarva vedeshu. I am pranava. What is this? I am the sacred Om or Omkara. What is Omkara? Essence of all the Vedas. What is Omkara? The three states. Three states what? Waking, dreaming, deep sleep. Because he says here, I am the Om in all the Vedas. Why would he say this? Because look at Om as condensed juice, for example, very concentrated juice. So it's the best teaching there is. It's very concentrated. And all of the pages of the Vedas are like diluted forms of that juice. So you take a small drop and you put it on each page and add some water. So all of the Vedas are the dilution of the teaching of the three states. So what is Krishna saying here? I am the highest teaching in all of the Vedas. The Vedas being the essence of the Omkara, I am that teaching also. And for whom is the teaching for? Us. In other words, we are borrowing Ishwara to jump out of the merry-go-round. Shabdah ke. I am the essence of all pervading space. What does space do? What's the property of space? Sound. And what do you do with sound? Communicate. What do human beings do from the moment they're born? Talk. Communicate. That means I can only romance another person because of sound. And the sound can only exist because of the space. And what do we do when we speak, romance language to each other? We communicate, we exchange transactions, we get results. So this means every result that I get, that I enjoy, depends on the sound to reach the other person's ear. Because of what? The space. So this means I totally rely on Ishwara for all my transactions to go through. See, I can only speak to you because there's space and there's air here also. There's all-pervading space embodying what? These words of sounds. And I am that pervading space also. So where is Ishwara? In this very space that we experience right now. Where is that? Tell me where space is not. Right? Right here, right now. Paurusham Nirshu. I am the humanness in every human being. When you claim I am a human being, that humanness that you say I'm not an animal, that humanness, is anyone not a human here? Everyone confirms they're a human being. That humanness that causes you to confirm, I am also that. Okay, number 9. Together. Punyo ganhav prathivyam cha tejaschasmi vibhavasau jivanam sarva bhuteshu Tapaschasmi tapasvishu punyaha ganhaha prathivyam. That's the first top line. The essential nature of the earth is fragrance or smell. Did you ever go out on a rainy day? And it's beautiful, the smell. If you don't, then that's your homework for this week. Because we're in a rainy season now. Yeah, just go out and smell earthy, muddy wetness. That I am also. So we now don't take it for granted anymore. It's not just smell. It's like, wow, this is the smell of earth. And earth is Ishwara. Okay, tejaschasmi vibhavasau. So tejaha is the heat principle in fire. In other words, see, you don't have to see fire or color or form of fire. What it's referring to is the heat principle. So this means if you turn on your kettle tonight or tomorrow and you feel the heat, that heat I am also. Feel the heat of the sun on your face, that heat I am also. So you can never get away from Ishwara's glories. Now, Jivanam Sarva Bhuteshu, I am the life principle because of which a living being is living, and without which that living being would be a dead corpse. Are you alive right now? Absolutely. So Ishwara is that life principle because of which the person who just said yes to the question, are you living? That is Ishwara. This is also why in the Vedic tradition, or even in the Hindu tradition, the basic principle is respect for all life, for all living beings. Some religions, I'm not going to mention the names, this is not so much the case. The main purpose of a plant or an animal is basically for human consumption. So this is not the case in the Vedic tradition. So this is why we respect all living beings. Both animals, plants, and humans do indeed, if you want to call it, have a soul. It's called Atma Tattvam. So this means now our relationship towards plants, animals, and human changes. Now this doesn't mean don't eat anymore because, we won't come back next week, right? It just means that look at the relationship towards food in a that's why we say, 424, I think it is, Om Brahmarpanam Brahmahavihi. That's why we have this, to acknowledge that indeed this is the essence of the total. This is not just food on my plate, there's more to it. So this means we from now on start to look at everything, both insects, plants, and animals, as another layer, a new vision. What kind of vision? As that principle because of which keeps these beings alive. And that principle also keeps this body alive. Therefore, there is no essential difference between that little spider which I go psst, and the person that does psst. Okay? I'm not saying, now, never again. Leave the snake on the pillow, right? It's okay. Treat it appropriately, but do know that it is the Atma Tattvam. Now, tapaschasmi tapasvishu. Amongst the human beings, there are some who are more evolved. They're called ascetics. And because of their tapas, that means their disciplines, because of their determination, their perseverance, they have accomplished something. Whether materially or spiritually, they have still accomplished something. Now, those tapas which led them to accomplish those results, those tapas I am also. In other words, because of those tapas, which when performed through a certain sequence and a certain way, lead to certain results, which the ascetic then gets to enjoy, both materially and spiritually, because of those tapas, I am those tapas. That means I am those disciplines, I am all of those perseverances, I am the commitment, I am devotion, I am dedication, I am all of those principles which when applied in your life lead to action. See, right now you need patience. I am that patience. You're borrowing Ishwara's patience to learn. You need commitment, you need faith. That faith I am also. We'll just read 7.9, the blue one. O Arjuna, moreover, I am the fragrance in earth, I am the heat in fire, I am the life in all beings, and I am the austerity in these ascetics. Okay, now, yeah?
I was just going to say, couldn't it be seen that with the austerity of the ascetics, that they are rejecting Ishwara because of their denial of the physical manifestation of Ishwara in matter?
No, ascetic means one who is performing disciplines, who is a very disciplined person. See, you're also being a disciplined person, so technically you're also an ascetic. Because you're exercising determination, a lot of discipline to listen, a lot of perseverance to keep coming back. So you are an ascetic. And all of these qualities that you're using to learn, to say, I have transformed, those qualities I am, says Ishvara.
So that word austerity in that context, then, is that meaning lack of frivolity? Is that a way of understanding austerity?
Lack of what?
Frivolity, or superficiality. I'm trying to put austerity
Okay,
into
well, it
context.
depends on your attitude. This question would certainly apply if I began, chapter 1 and 2 again. But once you go through the program, you're not thinking like this anymore. You already are careful of that, are you not? So yes, it does apply at the beginning, but later on it doesn't apply anymore. Again, learn to look at the entire world as the manifestation of Ishwara. This is the important message. Why? Because this changes your attitude towards the world. Now you're going to say, why should I? Right? You haven't given me a reason. What's the benefit of this change? What will it do for me? And this will be mentioned in 7.10. Bijam mam sarva bhutanam vidhi parthasanatanam buddhir buddhi matam asmi tejas tejasvinamaham. So here, second line, please. Buddhihi buddhi matam asmi. I am the intelligence behind intelligent people. So this means that some folks have extraordinary intelligence, as we already know that. They have amazing intellects. And they enjoy glorifying those intellects, like I am smart. Now that intellect, that cleverness, I am also. So if you think you're smart in something right now, whatever it is, that intelligence, Ishwara is. Which means because of my blessing, says Ishwara, because of my blessing, not your blessing, intelligent people get to enjoy being intelligent. That means once again, you are borrowing your intelligence from Ishwara. Similarly, asmi tejas tejasvinam, I am the boldness in the bold, and I am the valor in the valorous. What does boldness mean? The capacity to withstand challenges when they arise. I'm bold, I'm going to withstand them. Whether they are human or non-human, that capacity to overcome them in any kind of situation, family or falling asleep or trying to make money or whatever it is, that boldness to sustain those obstacles, I am also. Some people withdraw upon the slightest confrontation. One little obstacle, they withdraw. Whereas others, no matter how many obstacles come, they're able to go through them. Now that boldness, I am also, says Ishwara. That bravery, the ability to conquer and move forward. Now, what is the benefit of 7.8 to 7.10? First, understand that the nature of everything is Ishwara. Now, if you're going to ask me a question, what about? You obviously, haven't looked at the word everything. Everything means nothing is excluded. So the question cannot come up for what about?
Direct and indirect.
Yes. Manifest, unmanifest. So any virtue, whatever you have, knowledge, intellect, boldness, sharpness, creativity, inspiration, first recognize it does not belong to me. So whatever you admire, whatever you find status worthy of in this world that people admire you for, recognize that ability which is giving you the praise that is not yours.
Could you not also say the same thing about timidity or cowardliness?
Yeah, what about it?
Well, is that not also Ishwara?
Yeah, I said everything.
But it doesn't can't this knowledge or saying this make the person even more arrogant? I've got all this because Ishvara has blessed me with all this.
Again, you're asking a question from a standpoint if this was the beginning of So only ask questions which are pertinent to your education of chapters. Otherwise, we're asking questions for other people, and we're not at that stage. Okay? Okay, so the benefit, first of all, understand everything is the nature of Ishwara, and then recognize, therefore, I do not take credit for anything. How can you? Nothing's yours. You didn't create anything. Not a single thing in this world you created. Even the Upanishads, this doesn't come from me, it doesn't come from Shankara, it doesn't come, goes all the way back to we don't know where, but it does come from somewhere. Of course, the rishis, helped us with this. And to own this knowledge and say, my knowledge, and to make something out of this knowledge, to have status, that is like total arrogance if you think about it. Because I totally depended on everything to be somebody today. So therefore, what happens if you appreciate everything as Ishvara and not yours? Humility. Benefit number one, humility starts to come in. Humbleness towards what? Towards what I know, towards what I am, towards what I've accomplished. Now, what does humbleness do? Like, what does humility do for us?
Destroys the ego.
Saves you from pride as well.
Pride destroys the pride, destroys a sense of ownership.
Yeah, ownership.
It brings you closer to realizing yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're giving up your ego.
Absolutely. It brings people closer also.
And that's the benefit, is the fact that pride goes before a fall. So if you are proud, then you're likely to end up in a situation which is going to be detrimental. So the benefit of humility is not going into that problem.
Exactly. Keeps a lot of peace of mind. Because the opposite of humility is arrogance. Raga, dvesha, slavery, gone. Because what is raga, dvesha? I like and I dislike. Why? Because I'm owning that what I like is mine. And what I dislike is also mine. But if I surrender that it is Ishwara's alone, then raga, dvesha becomes impossible. Because why am I liking and disliking this? Who's there to gain anything? Because all of the gains go back to Ishvara. I'm not gaining anything. It is all Ishvara's. Therefore, what is there to gain? So therefore, it also decreases this slavery, this bondage to likes and dislikes. And it also cures samsara. Samsara is entanglements. I need this for my happiness. I need this for my satisfaction. But why? This is Ishvara. Right? Everything I look is Ishvara, so it's all going back to, it is all Ishvara, it's not going to me. So how does humility come? First, by knowledge, proper understanding, that is true humility. And the second, flattery. On the outside it looks all humble and everything. This is called some salesmen, some politicians, not all of them. So they're applying this humility for the sake of gaining something. This is not true humility. So two ways to get humility. One through proper understanding and one through, the common raga, dvesha motivation. I mean, this is easy to see. Like you go to America where they ask for tips, right? And then you see like, why is this waitress so kind to me? I'm not saying all of them are. And then you realize, then they're going to ask for a tip. And then you go, oh, okay, so this is part of the business. In other words, I was being humbled I was being flattered, only, they can get something out of me. So this is what I mean. This is not true humility or humbleness. So we have to distinguish that. Okay, one example how humility comes. There's a story in the Kena Upanishad where the Devas, that's a long A, Devaha. So they conquered the Asuras because of their strength. And so they were taking ownership, prideship in their ability to conquer the Asuras. They were arrogant. Like, we did it. We conquered the bad guys. So Bhagavan decided to teach them a lesson. He just sent a mysterious yaksha. Yaksha you can translate into spirit. And this yaksha came over to the Agni Devata and the Vayu Devata and presented a blade of grass and said, so you're the god of fire, you Agni Devata. Why don't you just burn this blade of grass? And the god of fire did all it could to burn the blade of grass, couldn't do it. What happened then? Realized that the power that I thought was mine to conquer the Asuras is not mine. It belongs to Bhagavan alone. So in that moment, Agni Devata realized or became humble. How? By realizing what I thought I had is not mine after all. And then the blade of grass was given to Vayu Devata, god of air. Said, please blow this blade of grass. Do with all your strength. And Vayu thought it was no problem. And Vayu blew. Hasn't even moved the blade of grass. And then the Vayu realized, my God, this power that I thought I had, it belongs to Bhagavan alone. So both Agni and Devata became humble by their recognition that the power they use to succeed and enjoy the results is not there after all. Therefore, never take ownership of even your good skills, because those good skills is Ishwara's alone. So the conclusion is, whatever rewards you get, whatever compliments you receive, whatever honors you enjoy, whatever great recognitions you get from the society, remember Ishwara always. Because little by little these compliments go, oh yes, it's my work, I did it. So we have to remember Ishwara, especially when you get complimented or praised for some work. So Ishwara understanding equals humility. Ignorance of Ishwara due to lack of understanding equals arrogance. Now the second advantage besides humility is, whenever I see the Ishwara in any person, like in this class or when I go out there, whatever skills they have, I am never again jealous. Jealousy is impossible. That's the second benefit. How does one become jealous? When I can...
When something that you can't have.
Separated from something.
Yeah.
When you feel separate.
Yeah, good. Okay, they're all right. So jealousy arises when I start comparing my glory, which is not my glory at all, we just established that, when I compare my glory to somebody else's glory, and that glory is also not theirs. So I go, oh, they have a higher status, they have a higher position, they have more friends, they have, some kind of more luck. But their glory is not theirs, my glory is not mine, so where's there space for jealousy? Because their glory belongs to Ishwara, my glory belongs to Ishwara, so who's there to take any ownership of anything? Or let's suppose we both sing, right? We're like two singers. And then there's no more competition in this case. Because before, I was comparing. I'm a better singer and I want to be better than you. But now, you're a good singer, I'm a good singer, and both of our singing capacities belong to Ishwara. Therefore, what happens? I get to enjoy your singing. Before I was jealous, before I was competitive. Now I get to enjoy your wins, your successes, your achievements. Before I used to eat myself up and think how incompetent I am. Now I get to appreciate your wins. I get to appreciate when you're in love, when you have big wins, when you have big accomplishments, because those accomplishments are also mine, because we are non-separate. Big change. There's a thin pipe and there's a thick pipe. The thin pipe was jealous that the thick pipe could let or handle more water through it. It's like, that's a thicker pipe. I wish I could handle so much water coming through me. That pipe is blessed with a lot more water than I am. And the thick pipe was taking ownership, was being proud of the amount of water they can let through. So then the pipe acharya comes to them and says, you two pipes, did you realize that the water which you are fighting over, that which is blessing you, comes from the water tank. This water that you're enjoying is not yours. It belongs to the water tank. So in the same way, human beings are like pipes. Some people let less Ishwara blessings through them, so they don't accomplish very much. Some people let a lot of blessings through them. They're famous, they're big on the screen, they have a lot of fame. It's like so much blessings pouring through them. But that blessing is not theirs. And this blessing, a little bit of blessing, is also not mine. It comes from where? Ishwara. Therefore, the attitude of jealousy is impossible now. So what does this mean? Learn to congratulate other people's successes. So the benefit summary is, number one, humility. What does humility give us? Undisturbed peace in random situations of life. And two, non-jealousy. Non-jealousy, another name for that, is appreciating other people for their skills. I get to enjoy your love, your success, your amazement. So your homework can be just go on YouTube and look at some famous people who you would probably go, oh, I wish I was like that. And simply inquire, this which I used to, which I wanted, this is not theirs. And remember, there is always someone jealous towards you also. Because in reference points to their success and your success, someone wants what you have. But there's also someone jealous towards them. So this jealousy never ends. So you have to understand every single blessing traveling through every person belongs to Ishwara alone. And finally, the first line, Sarva Bhutanam Vidhi Partha Sanatanam. Bija means seed, and seed means the absolute final cause. Two types of causes. The first cause is called intermediary cause. What is intermediary cause or relative cause? Parents are my cause, but parents also have their cause, and their parents have their cause. This is called intermediary. So parents are not the ultimate cause. So this category, Ishvara is not. Now the second category, absolute ultimate cause, the cause of everything. You can't ask a question of what, because I said everything. In other words, it's the cause of everything, but it itself is not caused by anything.
It's the beginningless beginning.
Beginningless beginning. It's causeless cause. It itself doesn't have anything that caused it. So therefore, Ishvara is parentless parent, fatherless father, motherless mother. Which means that Ishvara does not have a beginning. And Krishna is putting this in first line because he knows that Arjuna is going to say eventually, who's the cause of God? So Krishna answers that and says, there is no cause of Ishvara. Ishvara is the eternal, causeless cause.
It's funny, as we're talking, I realize in my mind I'm accepting all natural disasters too.
Yeah.
Like tsunami, and it's all accepting. Like,
Yeah.
it's nothing to fear, it's just the cause or effect of what's happening.
I create and I swallow.
Yeah.
Working through the
Even the wars, the, whatever killing.
And you're just talking about one creation.
I mean, when it happens to personally, I don't know how I'm going to react, but I'm trying to accept all this now. It's like before I used to get emotionally affected.
You're looking at it
All the
objectively
wars that
now.
happen, yeah.
Objectively. Okay. Sarve bhavantu sukhinaha, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukkha bhag bhavit. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.